Esselamu aleyküm ve rahmetullahi ve berekatühü. Euzubillahimineşşeytanirracim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters, friends of my life, friends of my heart,
Allah'a sonsuz hamd ve şükür.
I thank and praise Allah Ta'ala countless times that one more time we are all together at a discourse to talk about Allah Ta'ala,
Allah'ı zikretmek üzere.
to do zikr of Allah.
Evvela Allah Teala hepinizi çok ama çok seviyor.
First of all, Allah Ta'ala loves you very, very much.
Bu sevgiye layık olmak için
In order to be worthy of this love, you need to work hard, my dear brothers and sisters.
kendinizi başkalarıyla mukayese etmeyin.
Don't compare yourself to others.
Devrin imamının etrafındaki insanlar,
You are the people around the Imam of the time,
onun etrafındaki ilk halka,
the first wave around him,
bize en yakın olanlar.
the ones who are closest to me.
Sonra adım adım ikinci halka,
Then the second wave,
halka gelir.
the third wave, and goes on.
Bunlar birer çevredir.
That's what's around us.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
kaç tane 10 yıllar geçti.
how many decades it has been
Allah'ın bize bu sohbetleri yaptırmaya başlamasından bu tarafa
starting from
yıllar
Allah's commission us to offer these discourses. Years has been going by,
ve geçen zaman parçası içinde ne kadar çok insan
and within this time,
kurtuluşa ulaştı.
so many people had salvation. People do not know, my dear brothers and sisters, just with one single wish,
Ruhu Allah'a ulaştırmayı dilemek.
only with the wish to render the spirit back to Allah before death, they can be saved of hell. They do not know that.
Birçokları için sadece bu dünya var.
For many, there is only this world.
Sonra ölür.
They think they live in this world and they die.
Böyle düşünüyor.
That's what they think.
Diyor.
They say, I will live in this world and I die and everything is over.
Bunu hiç düşünmüyor.
But they do not think what's beyond that.
İşte sevgili kardeşlerim, sonuç ya cennettir.
My dear brothers and sisters, the result is either heaven or hell.
Cenneti
And there is only one door separating heaven from hell, and that is to make a wish,
ben
to say, Almighty Allah,
bana şu dünya hayatını
I'm willing to render my spirit back to you as I'm living the life of this world.
bu dilek
Such a wish,
kalpten bir dilekse,
if that is from the heart,
bunu söyledikten hemen sonra ölse,
even if the individual dies right away after making such a statement, certainly goes to heaven.
olan bu talebin kalpten
Important thing is that wish to be from the deep in the heart.
sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
katip melekleri sizin sözlerinize bakmaz.
Kiram and Katib and angels wouldn't listen to what you are saying. They would look into your
Bir
heart.
insanı çok sevdiğinizi söylerken kalbiniz ne diyor acaba gerçekten?
If you are telling someone that you love that individual, what is your heart saying? Is it also stating the same thing as your lips?
Ya Rabbi seni çok seviyorum derken
When you are telling Almighty Allah, Allah, I love you so much, Allah will look into your heart and see if the same song is in your heart as well.
her şeyden evvel
Before anything else,
hiç unutmamamız lazım gelen bir şey var ki
there is something that we should never forget, that Allah loves everyone
en çok sevdiğim.
in a scale from those Allah loves the least to the ones Allah loves the most. Allah never hates.
Allah kin tutmaz.
Allah doesn't hold grudges.
Başkalarının
That wouldn't be the case with Allah. Allah is willing to save even those who do the greatest sin, yet He has His rules already. Allah wouldn't break His own rules, wouldn't allow anyone to break them either. Therefore His rules are very cut and clear. Whomever makes the wish to reach Allah, if that wish is from the heart, and if the individual dies without changing that wish, even without the spirit returns back to Allah, that individual still goes to heaven. The individual is certainly entitled to first heaven, yet the individual keeps living. If that is the case, Allah will give the love of Murshid, religious guide, to the individual. The individual's heart will be so full of love towards that Murshid and will take a pledge of allegiance to him. That love and pledge that follows that love will bring the individual to second heaven if the individual dies right after that. What happened was, the individual asked the Murshid from Allah, Allah delivered the individual to the Murshid, the individual took the pledge and died without fulfilling any religious services, but fulfilled his pledge that absolutely entitles the individual to second heaven. Yet the individual keeps living. If he lives and has 7 to 8 months of a lifespan, pay attention to what I'm saying, Allah will deliver that spirit back to Himself. What did I say? I didn't say that spirit will reach Allah with the efforts of the individual. In other words, the individual will not deliver the spirit to Allah, but Allah will deliver the spirit back to Himself. That's what I said. Allah will deliver the spirit back to Himself and will entitle the individual to third heaven. These 3 stages are way open for every individual. There is no obstacle for anyone to reach these stages. For the spirit to return back to Allah, what the individual needs to do is only to make the wish to reach Allah. That wish is enough for Allah to fulfill the wish. Allah delivers the spirit of the individual who wishes to reach Allah and rewards the individual as the individual fulfilled that promise. My dear brothers and sisters, whomever wishes to reach Allah, Allah certainly delivers that spirit back to Himself. If Allah gave long enough of a life to that individual, which is approximately 7 to 8 months, if the individual lives till the spirit returns back to Allah, then Allah will certainly make that spirit return back to Himself within that 7 to 8 months. And as if the individual succeeded this, Allah gives the reward to the individual. My dear brothers and sisters, friends of my life, friends of my heart, do you realize how great our owner is? How blissful He is? How much He loves us? Our only single wish, simply because we have such a wish, because we wish to render our spirit back to Allah from the heart, it gets accepted by Allah. Doesn't matter what the circumstances are. If the individual has a lifespan which is approximately 7 to 8 months, Allah certainly delivers that spirit back to Himself.
sanki kendisi bunu gerçekleştirmiş gibi
and rewards the individual as the individual fulfilled this.
yani hep bizden yana sevgili
In
kardeşler.
other words, Allah is always on our side, my dear brothers and sisters.
Hep bizlere
Always on our
en
side.
güzelini sunuyor.
Always presenting us the most wonderful,
Güzellikleri
the
sunuyor.
most beautiful notions that we do not even deserve, we cannot deserve on our own. In other words, if the individual is wishing to reach Allah,
Söz konusudur.
for Allah, that is a wish that needs to be fulfilled if the individual has 7 to 8 months of a lifespan.
Bu kişi gene cennete gidecektir.
Well, the individual made the wish to reach Allah and died after that, he will go to first heaven. While he lives, he took his pledge, he will go to second heaven. While he keeps living,
Bunu Allah kendisi
and Allah delivered the spirit back to himself,
gibi
let me reiterate, Allah delivered the spirit back to himself, yet Allah gave third heaven to that individual. My dear brothers and sisters, friends of my life, friends of my heart,
Allah bize bu ilmi öğretmeden evvel insanlar tarafından bilinir.
none of these were known by people before Allah gave this knowledge to me.
Alimlere tutsak olmuşlardı.
People were slaves to scholars,
Allah
not slaves to Quran.
ama Kur'an'a
Allah made me a slave to himself and to Quran. Allah taught me the Quran.
bitince ne oldu?
Well, what happened with his teaching? Well, nothing.
536
I came up with a commentary of the Quran in 19 volumes, which is
getirdik.
8,536 pages long,
Olağanüstü
with the help of our brothers and sisters, whose help was extraordinary.
sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
Allah Teala'nın yolumuza çıkardığı yardımcılarımıza
to our helpers that Allah brought to our path,
Allah Teala'nın huzurunda çok büyük ölçüde
in the presence of Allah, we thank them so much.
eğer onlar olmasaydı biz yalnız başımıza hiçbir zaman onları
If it wasn't their help, I wouldn't be able to do any of these on my own.
onları çıkardı karşımıza
Allah Ta'ala brought them to my path,
ve bizim kontrolümüz altında
under my control.
güzel şekilde çalıştılar.
They did a great work.
Her adımda biz onlarla birlikteydik.
At every step, I was with them.
Sonra bir eser çıktı ortaya.
Then we came up with that artifact,
En büyük Kur'an-ı Kerim.
the greatest commentary of the Quran in the world. 8,536 pages in 19 volumes altogether.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
Allah Teala'ya biz ne kadar hamd etsek azdır ki
it's not enough how much I thank and praise Allah Ta'ala that
Teala bizimle beraber
Allah Ta'ala made these people to be with us.
onların gayretleri, onların yardımları
Their perseverance and their help,
ve
their work,
bizim kontrolümüz altında
under my supervision,
o hedef
got to a point,
gerçekleştir.
and that point is very obvious.
En büyük Kur'an-ı Kerim tefsiri
The greatest commentary of the Quran today belongs to us.
bana aittir.
I didn't say
Bunu demem mi?
belongs to me, I cannot say that,
Kardeşlerimizin o unutulmaz gayretleri
because great perseverance of our brothers and sisters
unsuru oluşturmuş.
was the basic concept for that to come along.
Neden? Allah'tan sonra
I controlled and supervised
cevabı
as asked Allah,
onu
got confirmation from Allah, and accepting that, put that in the commentary of the Quran.
çok kardeşimiz bu konuda
Many brothers and sisters worked in this aspect,
hedefe ulaştık.
and as I praise Allah, we concluded it.
Öyleyse sizlere her şeyin çok güzel göründüğü bir ortamdan sesleniyorum.
I'm calling you from a place that everything looks great.
19 ciltlik 8536 sayfalık bir Kur'an-ı Kerim'imiz varsa
If we have a commentary of the Quran in 19 volumes, which is 8,536 pages, our brothers and sisters has a great share in that.
en büyük Kur'an-ı Kerim'i
Yet that is the greatest commentary of the Quran in the world, as every word of it was asked to Allah.
Kur'an-ı Kerim tefsiri. Peki bunun muhtevasında asıl önemli olan ne?
But what's the most important concept within this?
Bu 19 cildi
The most important thing is
okuyan kişinin
those people that read
ihtiyaç duymaması.
the 19 volumes for them not to
Her sözlüğüne koyduğu
need us, because Allah Ta'ala had us put a word dictionary to every verse.
verdik.
Whatever the verse is, the words were given individually, their meanings were given word by word.
Ve arkasından da bunların toplu olarak cümleler haline getirilmesi halinde şeklinin
As the words got together and gave the sentences, the meanings of the sentences.
kelime kelime Kur'an-ı Kerim
Therefore, every word of a verse was explained word by word.
ulaşamadığı bir sonuca
Therefore, that is a work that nobody came up with thus far.
hiç kimse bizim Kur'an-ı Kerim'imizi
That is our commentary of the Quran, yet it is the
çünkü
Quran of Allah, because at every point
sorduk,
I asked Allah,
ondan aldık.
I got His commands.
Kur'an öyle vücuda.
That's how that commentary was formed.
Kardeşlerimizin bu konudaki onları bizi çok ama çok müteşekkir kılan gayretlerini
Our brothers and sisters' perseverance that makes us to be so grateful for their hard work.
büyük bir mutlulukla
And we remember that with great joy.
çok şey borçluyuz.
We owe them so much.
Tek başımıza olsaydık böyle bir eseri
If it was myself alone,
kim bilir
God knows how many years it will take myself to come up with such an artifact.
sevgili kardeşlerim
My dear brothers and sisters,
hala bir sonuca ulaşmamızı istediği zaman
when Allah wants us to get to a certain point,
yardımcıları her zaman bize nasip kılır.
Allah always brought the helpers that will get us to that point. That is always the case.
Allah'ın
This is not my artifact, it is the help of Allah. In every artifact,
ortaya çıkan her güzel sonuç Allah'a ait.
every beautiful notion with that belongs to Allah. I am nothing.
Telefonuyuz.
I am only a speakerphone of Allah. That is all.
Allah Teala bizi konuşturur
Allah makes me talk,
ve siz onu işitirsiniz.
and that's what you hear.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
bu sebeple dünyadaki en mutlu insanlardan biriyiz.
therefore I'm one of the happiest people in the world, the one that Allah makes speak.
Allah'ın vücuda getirdiği bir Kur'an-ı Kerim'in sahibi.
The owner of the commentary of the Quran that was fulfilled with the help of Allah.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
gayretimiz hangi istikamette? Gayretimiz insanlığa
our efforts are to help all people.
hiç lügata bakmak gereğini duymadan
Such a commentary of the Quran
sona kadar
gives every meaning without any requirement of a dictionary with an entire
insanların en kolay
commentary of 8,536 pages. and helping people to understand
hiçbir kelime atlanamaz,
without skipping any word.
olmadan geçilemez.
No word has been skipped without giving the meaning.
Bu aracı
Going through such obstacles, that commentary of the Quran was formed.
Kur'an-ı Kerim deyince 19 tane ciltten bahsediyoruz.
When I say commentary of the Quran, I'm talking about 19 volumes, just like a library of the commentaries.
Kaplayacak olan bir
It would literally take a good space on a shelf.
kitaplardan birini
It will take approximately 1.5 meter of a shelf of a library.
sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
Allah'a borçluyuz.
I owe everything to
Ne
Allah.
yaptıysak biz yapmadık.
Whatever I have done, it wasn't me.
O yaptırdı.
He had me do it.
Biz sadece bir vasıtayız.
I'm only an instrument.
Ne söylediysek biz söylemedik.
Whatever I have said, it wasn't me, it was Allah. I owe Allah for that.
Bize verdiği risalet görevi de Rabbimizin bu dünyadaki en büyük nimetidir bizim için.
The duty of Risale He commissioned me, it is the greatest duty Allah blessed me with in this world.
Ki
As you all know,
Suresinin 10, 11, 12
within Duhan 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, Allah Ta'ala talks about myself.
asır evvel Allah Teala bizi Kur'an-ı Kerim'ine
As Allah put me in the Quran 14 centuries ago.
zamanımızda insanlar ceviz kabuğu olayını bütün boyutlarıyla yaşadılar.
And people went through every aspect of nutshell program during our time. They did.
Ondan sonra Duhan Suresinin 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. ayetlerine
After that, when they looked at Duhan 10 through 15, they have seen myself in there,
itiraz etmesinin mümkün olmadığı
where nobody could deny.
Allah Teala bir risalet ilanı yaptı.
Allah Ta'ala claimed that Risale with that program, my dear brothers and sisters.
Biz Allah'ın dostuyuz.
I am a friend of Allah,
Allah'ın dostlarının düşmanı çok olur.
and friends of Allah
Bizim de öyledir.
have so many enemies. I'm sure that is the case with me too.
Ne yazar ki sevgili kardeşler?
Yet, what if that is the case, my dear brothers and sisters? What is it Allah Ta'ala says?
Düşmanınız olsa
Even the entire world is an enemy to you, I'm enough for you, says Allah Ta'ala.
başka bir gruba da bir şey söylüyor.
And states
Dostunuz olsa
the otherwise to other group, saying that
diyor.
if the entire world is with you, I'm still enough, says Allah Ta'ala.
Allah bizimle beraberse
Therefore, if Allah is with me,
düşmanlıklar bir şey ifade etmez.
then enmities wouldn't mean anything.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
herkes için bütün kapılar açıktır.
all doors are open for every individual.
Allah'ın dostuyuz.
I am a friend of Allah.
Allah bizim dostumuz.
Allah is my friend.
Ve de bizi dikkatle dinleyip söylediklerimizi Kur'an'la
And those who listen to me carefully and who confirm my statements from the Quran and realize that they are the truth, they cannot be on any other side.
böyle bir insan yaşamıyor henüz bizim dışımızda.
Because such an individual doesn't live aside from myself.
Allah Teala'nın verdiği o görev, risalet görevi
That duty Allah gave me,
bizim için
the Risale,
çok daha değerli.
it is more important even than my life.
Olalım,
Doesn't matter what circumstances I'm in,
mutlaka yerine getiririz.
I always fulfill the command of Allah. Doesn't matter what the cost is.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
emri doğrudan Allah'tan alırız.
I received the command directly from Allah,
Fizik vücudu.
and my physical body certainly fulfills that command.
Allah'ın Risaleti bize tebliğinden sonra
After Allah conveyed the Risale unto me, for me to get under control of Allah,
tarafından yaptırılması bizim
for me to do everything through Him is the greatest honor for me in this universe.
için
He chose me
bize vermiş Risaleti
and gave Risale to me,
ve insanları mutlu et demiş.
commanding me to make other people happy.
Söylediklerimizi yapan insanlar için
My statements are true for those people who fulfill my statements.
insanlar
As you know, before I gave this statement, people were thinking Rasuls to be superior to Nabis.
Risalet ve nübüvvet tamamen
Risale and Nubuwe
insanlar tarafından
were totally misunderstood by people.
Nebilerin Resullerden daha aşağıda olduğu ifade ediliyordu.
They were thinking that Nabis were less than the Rasuls.
Allah Teala rütbeleri öğretti bize.
Allah Ta'ala taught me the ranks,
Nebi kelimesinin karşılığının peygamber olduğunu,
taught me that Nabi is the prophet,
peygamber olmadığını,
yet Rasul is not always the prophet.
bütün kavimlerde bir tane Resul olduğunu söylüyor Allah Teala.
Allah Ta'ala indicates there is always a Rasul in every nation.
Varsa o kavimlerin hepsinde
Whatever the number of nations are in the world, there is always a Rasul in every one of those nations.
bütün bu kavimlerdeki Resullere Allah Teala kavim Resulü diyor.
Allah Ta'ala calls them the Rasuls of the nations who are commissioned in every nation.
Olabilir.
Only one of them can be the Imam of the time.
Hazreti Muhammed Mustafa sallallahu
As you know, our Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam
sellem
was the last of the Nabis,
onun
last of the prophets.
bir erkek çocuğun babası olmadığını,
Allah Ta'ala indicates that he is not a father of any boys,
ne olduğunu söylüyor.
and he is the Rasul of Allah.
Peygamber Efendimiz sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem Risaletin sahibidir ama
Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had Risale, yet what is superior to that is Nubuwa, and he also had Nubuwa.
Nebiler biliyorsunuz Kur'an'daki tarif
As Quran indicates,
verilen
Nabis
haberler
are the prophets who are book given.
nebidir.
They are the Nabis, prophets.
Kendilerine şeriat kitabı verilmiş
Nubuwa
peygamberleri muhtevasına
refers to prophets who are given books of Sharia, books of divine law.
mevcut değildir.
There are no prophets at all times.
Bir peygamberdir.
Abraham was a prophet.
Musa bir peygamber.
Moses was a prophet.
Hazreti Muhammed Mustafa sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem Efendimiz.
Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a prophet.
Ama onların yaşadığı bütün devirlerde
Yet during their times in all nations there were still other Rasuls.
bir Resul öldüğü zaman
When a Rasul dies in a nation, a new one is always commissioned by Allah.
böyle olacak.
And that will be the case till the doomsday.
Kıyamete kadar hep var.
Till the doomsday, a Rasul will always exist in a nation. When one dies, the new one will be commissioned by Allah.
Öyleyse bunlar kimdir? Bütün kavimlerde mevcut olan her
Then who are they?
kavim Resulleridir.
They are the Rasuls of the nations as they exist in every nation. Our Prophet ﷺ
Resulüydü
was the Rasul
hem de
and Nabi of his time.
yani
He was a Rasul commissioned with Nubuwweh.
nübüvvet müessesesinin de sahibi olmaktır.
Highest level of having Risale is to have Nubuwweh along with that, as it was the case for Moses, Jesus, and our Prophet sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem.
Ve hiçbir devirde Allah Teala dünyayı
And at no time
idareciyle
Allah Ta'ala never leaves the world without a person who is commissioned by Allah.
bir devrin imamı
In other words, at all times, there is always the Imam of the time.
vardır.
There is a Rasul for every nation, and one of those Rasuls is certainly the Imam of the time.
Hiçbir kavim hiçbir devrede Resulsüz bırakılmaz.
No nation will be left without a Rasul at no time.
Ölmüşse
Whenever a Rasul dies in a nation, a new one will be appointed by Allah at that very moment.
görevi yapabilecek seviyede birisi.
Someone who can fulfill that duty.
Seçimidir mutlaka.
That is, of course, the choice of Allah.
Layık olanı seçer.
And of course, Allah chooses the one who is worthy of to be chosen.
Bütün bu liyakatin sahiplerini yetiştiren Allah.
It is again Allah who prepares these people who are worthy of to be chosen.
Bütün insanlar için mutluluğun sağlanması o Resullerin
My dear brothers and sisters, to provide happiness for all people is the duty for those Rasuls.
dinlerse
The more they can encourage people to fulfill the commands of Allah,
çok zikrin, daimi zikrin,
to adapt zikr, much zikr and continuous zikr.
çalışmalarının neticesinde
As a result of their work,
ne ölçüde tesir edebilmişlerse
the more they can influence people,
netice.
happier the people are.
Ama her zaman şeytan onların karşılarına
Yet at all times,
çıkaracak.
Satan will bring enemies of Allah to encounter them.
Düşman olanlar.
They are the ones who are the enemies to Rasuls.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
Allah Teala ile kim çarpışabilir ki?
who can stand against Allah?
Allah'a karşı savaş verenler
Those who fight against Allah
mutlak surette kaybetmek zorunda.
are the ones who will absolutely lose that fight. There is no other way to it.
Hiç kimseyi aldatamazlar.
They cannot deceive anyone.
Sonunda gerçekler mutlaka ortaya.
At the end, the truth certainly prevails.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
Allah Teala sizlerin mutlu olmasını istiyor.
Allah Ta'ala wants you all to be happy and joyous.
Allah'tan emir alabilen,
Since that is the case,
temas edebilen,
there are always Rasuls who continuously receive
Allah'a ulaştıran,
commands from Allah, who can contact Allah, who can deliver the questions to Allah.
bütün devirlerde
They always exist at all times,
bunlardan bir tanesi
and one of those
da devrin
is certainly the Imam of the time.
ve bu
And
ibadet
this
prosesi insan
leadership
tarafından
of imamhood
gerçekleştirilen
cannot be fulfilled by regular human beings.
seçer.
Allah
Seçer,
chooses that Imam,
tebliğ eder, sonra
conveys to him,
veya açık bir şekilde ifadesiyle hacet namazı kılmaları halinde
and in case other people perform necessity prayer, Allah shows who that Imam is to others who are worthy of seeing it.
Çok basit değil mi sonuç?
Isn't that very simple, my dear brothers and sisters, to ask Allah and to get the answer directly from Allah?
Neden sormazlar dersiniz?
Why do you think they're not asking Allah?
Allah'ın karşısına ve Resul'ün karşısına çıkanlar
Especially those who are against Allah and against Rasul. Why don't they perform necessity prayer and ask Allah?
şeytan var.
Because behind them is Satan.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
Allah'a karşı savaş veren hiç kimse huzura kavuşamaz.
those who fight against Allah cannot have peace and serenity. They will be unhappy throughout their lives.
Allah'ın karşısında olanlar
Those who are against Allah,
kimler oluyor? Şeytanın yanında olanlar oluyor.
they are the ones who are right next to Satan.
Allah'a ve Allah'ın Resulüne karşı savaş açmış olanlar
Those who are fighting against Allah and His Rasul, I feel sorry most for them.
hayat bir şey mi?
My dear brothers and sisters,
60 sene yaşarsınız, 80 sene
what is the life in this world? You live 60 years, 80 years, 100 years, but finally you die,
biter.
and that is the end of this world.
Taraf
How about the hereafter?
burası sonsuzdur.
That is infinite.
Bu dünyada Allah'ın Resulüne Allah Teala'dan sormak yerine bile duymaksızın
Without even having the necessity of asking the Rasul of Allah from Allah in this world, don't they think they are going to be accountable to Allah? I wonder if they have ever seen hell.
kardeşlerim
I have, my dear brothers and sisters.
onlara acıyor.
Therefore, I feel so pitiful to them in that regard.
Allah için yaşamak varken,
Instead of living for Allah,
mutlu ederek mutlu olmak varken,
instead of being happy, making others happy, why enmity? Why holding grudges?
neden iftiralarla Resul'e saldırmak?
Why attacking the Rasul with slanders?
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
insanlar kendilerine yazık ediyorlar.
people are truly harming themselves.
Allah'ın bizi bu görevle görevlendirmesinden bu tarafa
Since Allah commissioned me for this duty,
gerçekleşemezdi.
nothing could have taken place with my own free will, and that is never the case.
Yüce Rabbimiz irademizin gerçek sahibidir.
Almighty Allah is the true owner of my will. Whatever He have me do, I certainly do it.
Allah Teala hamd ederiz, şükrederiz ki
As I thank and praise Allah Ta'ala,
sizlerin görmediğinizi görür, bilmediğinizi bilir.
Allah sees what you do not see, knows what you do not know, and have me do the most righteous.
Öyleyse Allah Teala ne kadar ömür vermişse Allah'ın tasarrufunda,
Therefore, whatever the lifespan Allah gave me, living under His control,
tamamlayacak.
I will be completing my life doing whatever He have me to do.
Bu konuda hiçbir şeyden en ufak bir endişe duymayız.
And therefore, I don't have any worries whatsoever.
Önemli olan Allah'ın tasarrufunda olmanın,
The most important thing is to be aware of being under control of Allah,
verdiği o sonsuz mutluluk ve sükunettir.
and that infinite
Kardeşlerim,
peace and comfort that feeling gives.
bozulduğunu gördünüz mü?
My dear brothers and sisters, have you ever seen my peace to be broken?
Karşı
Have I ever gotten angry? What is it that I have said for those even who harmed me the most. Everything that I have done in my life is known by you. Everything is taking place right before your eyes. Have you ever seen me angry? Have you ever seen me indicating holding grudges against anyone?
Hiç onlara karşı Allah'a şikayette bulunduk mu?
Have I ever complained about those people to Allah ever?
Bizim yerimize kararları Allah verir.
Because Allah makes the decisions for me.
Ve biz onun verdiği kararların bizim için en hayırlı olduğunu %100 bilenlerdeniz.
And I am the one who knows that His decisions are best for me, which is 100%. He loves me and He protects me.
Allah'ın sevgisi sizlerin de üzerine olsun sevgili.
May Allah's love be upon you as well, dear viewers, audience, my dear brothers and sisters. I love you all very, very much. May Allah bless you all.
Esselamu aleyküm ve rahmetullahi ve berekatuhu.